The first story happened in a small Ohio town in late 2018. Emily Carter wasn't running from anything. She just needed a fresh start, a new job, a quiet place, somewhere affordable where nobody knew her name. The duplex sat at the end of a narrow street lined with identical houses. Beige siding, small porch, faded mailbox. It looked forgettable, the kind of place you wouldn't notice twice. The landlord had mentioned the previous tenant left unexpectedly. He didn't elaborate. Emily didn't ask. The first week felt normal, the kind of quiet that feels peaceful at first. She'd unpack after work, heat up dinner, and fall asleep to the low hum of late-night television. But during the second week, something small changed. Every morning, one kitchen cabinet would be slightly open. Not wide, not hanging loose, just cracked open, 3 inches. At first, she blamed herself. She was tired, distracted, moving is stressful, people forget things. So one night, she made sure everything was shut tight. She physically pushed each cabinet door until she heard the click. She even took a photo on her phone before going to bed. The next morning, the cabinet above the sink was open again, 3 inches. That's when something shifted inside her. It wasn't fear yet, it was awareness. By the third week, the knocking began, 2:17 a.m. Exactly. 3 soft taps, pause, 3 taps again. The sound came from inside the wall, directly behind her bed. Not pipes. Pipes echo, pipes groan. This was precise, measured, intentional. The first night it happened, she stayed frozen under her blanket, heart pounding so loud she was sure whatever was inside the wall could hear it. The other side of the duplex was empty. The landlord had confirmed it. There shouldn't have been anyone there. The knocking continued every night at 2:17. Always the same rhythm. Then came the dragging sound. Slow. Heavy. Like something shifting its weight inside the wall cavity. She bought a small indoor security camera and set it up facing her bedroom door. The following morning, she checked the footage. At 2:17 a.m., the knocking was clearly audible. Then, slowly, her bedroom door handle turned. The door opened halfway. Emily was asleep in bed the entire time. She didn't move, didn't react. The door remained open for 47 seconds. Then it closed on its own. The next night, she forced herself to stay awake. 2:16 a.m. Silence. 2:17. Knock, 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 pause, knock, knock, knock. Her bedroom handle began to turn. Slowly, the latch clicked, the door opened. The hallway light was off. But something cast a shadow along the wall. Tall, too thin, wrong proportions. She grabbed her phone flashlight and aimed it toward the hallway. Nothing, but the air felt heavy, thick, as if the house itself was holding its breath. She moved out 3 days later, but before returning her keys, she asked the landlord one final question. Did the last tenant complain about anything? He hesitated too long, then nodded. She said someone was living in the walls. Months later, Emily drove past the duplex out of curiosity. It was vacant again. A for rent sign stood crooked in the yard, but the blinds in her old bedroom window were slightly parted, and in the darkness behind the glass, something shifted, as if it had been standing there, watching the street, waiting for someone new. The second story happened in Arizona in 2020. Daniel Ruiz worked night security at a storage facility on the edge of town. The desert stretched for miles behind it, flat, empty, endless. Most nights were uneventful. He liked that. He'd patrol in a small golf cart, checking locks under the buzzing fluorescent lights, gravel crunching beneath the tires, wind moving through the rows of metal doors. That's when he first noticed Unit 47. The renter paid on time every month, but according to the logs, no one had accessed it in 8 months. The lock always looked new. No rust, no dust. One night during patrol, Daniel heard something from inside. A dull thud. He stopped the cart. Listened. Silence. 2 nights later, it happened again. 3 thuds from inside the locked unit. He stepped out and pressed his ear against the cold metal door. That's when he heard it. Breathing. Slow. Deep on the other side. He stepped back immediately. "Hello?" he called. The breathing stopped. Then came a soft scraping sound, like fingernails dragging lightly across steel. The unit was opened the next day in broad daylight. 2 employees stood nearby as they cut the lock. The metal door rolled up. Inside, nothing. Bare concrete. Empty walls. No dust. No footprints. No signs anyone had ever used it. But Daniel felt it the second he stepped inside. The temperature dropped, and something shifted behind him. A warm breath brushed the back of his neck. He spun around. The doorway was empty. 3 nights later, the alarm system triggered. Motion detected inside Unit 47 at 2:03 a.m. Daniel pulled up the security feed. The unit appeared empty. Then slowly, a shadow stretched across the back wall. Tall, elongated, moving like something pacing back and forth. But there was nothing inside to cast it. Daniel quit a week later. Months after that, police contacted the facility. The renter of Unit 47 had died in a car accident 2 years earlier, which meant someone had been paying for that empty unit in the name of a dead man. No one ever claimed it, and to this day, Unit 47 is still listed as occupied, even though it's always empty. The third story happened in rural Pennsylvania in 2022. Ryan and Alicia Morgan had always wanted something quieter than city life. When they found the old farmhouse built in 1911, it felt perfect. Wooden beams, long upstairs hallway, tall ceilings, and mirrors. There were more mirrors than expected. A large antique one at the end of the hallway. Another facing the staircase. Original mirrors in both bedrooms. At first, they loved the character. 2 weeks after moving in, Ryan noticed something strange. He was brushing his teeth late at night. The bathroom light flickered slightly as he leaned toward the mirror. For a split second, his reflection didn't move with him. It stayed still. Then it corrected itself. He blinked, stepped back, told himself it was just old glass. He didn't mention it. A few days later, Alicia was walking upstairs when she casually glanced into the hallway mirror. She saw herself. And someone standing directly behind her. Tall, thin, close enough to touch her shoulder. She turned around immediately. The hallway was empty. No footsteps, no doors closing. Nothing. That night, she told Ryan. He tried to laugh it off, but something about her tone made him uneasy. After that, they both became more aware of the mirrors. Sometimes their reflections felt delayed. Sometimes their posture looked slightly off. Once, Ryan swore his reflection blinked when he didn't. Then Alicia woke up one night at exactly 3:12 a.m. Ryan wasn't in bed. The house was silent as she stepped into the hallway, and that's when she saw him, in the mirror at the end of the hall. Ryan stood behind her reflection, perfectly still, his head tilted slightly, his eyes too wide. She slowly turned around. The hallway was empty. Ryan was asleep downstairs on the couch. The next day, they covered every mirror in the house. Blankets, sheets, towels, anything they could find. For 2 nights, nothing happened. Then, just after 2 a.m., they both heard footsteps upstairs. Slow, measured, back and forth along the hallway. But they were downstairs, sitting together, listening. Ryan grabbed a flashlight and went up alone. Every mirror was still covered, except one. The sheet over the hallway mirror had fallen. He stepped closer. His reflection stared back at him. Then, it smiled. Ryan hadn't moved, but the reflection's mouth slowly stretched upward. Wider than it should, its eyes stayed locked on his, unblinking. Ryan stumbled back. The reflection didn't mirror him. It stayed pressed close to the glass, as if something was leaning against it from the other side. Downstairs, Alicia screamed. In the uncovered bathroom mirror, she saw a tall, thin figure standing directly behind her. Not Ryan. Its limbs were too long, its face pale and distorted. When Ryan rushed down and they both looked again, the mirror showed only their terrified reflections. They left the house within weeks. Before moving out, Ryan smashed the hallway mirror. The glass shattered across the wooden floor. But in the broken pieces, he noticed something that made his stomach drop. Each shard reflected a slightly different angle of the hallway, and in one fragment, he could see someone standing behind him, even though he was alone. The farmhouse was sold the following year. The new owners posted renovation photos online. In one image, the hallway mirror had been replaced, mounted in the exact same spot. In the reflection stood the new owner and his wife. Behind them, two tall figures, standing close, watching. The photo was deleted hours later, but screenshots remain. And if you look carefully, the figures in the reflection aren't looking at the couple. They're looking out of the mirror, as if they're no longer trapped inside it. If you like these stories, subscribe to the channel and tell us about your horror story in the comments.